Today, I'm reviewing everywhere I stayed in Jamaica as a solo female traveler, from hostels, a hotel, a resort, and an Airbnb. If you are planning to visit Jamaica for the first time, I got you. I think I'm going to rank them. I want to give a few shout outs. Jojo Brown, she says, my parents are from Jamaica. I haven't been back since the age of 18. Now I'm 30. I would love to go, not sure about solo. This one is from Danny Kitty. I said I miss Bahia. She wrote, so do I. I've been 4 times. My family has friends that work there. The good thing is that I'm going back in January 2025. This is a very low chance that we had the same room, but what was your room number? Just curious if we had the same room. Danny Kitty, I do not remember. I do hope that you had a lovely stay at Bahia Principe when you went earlier this year. All right, let's get into it now. First up is MoBay Kotch. This is a hostel located in Montego Bay. Can you believe that Jamaica has hostels? I selected MoBay Kotch because I wanted to be in the city center before I ventured out to the resort. And I really wanted to exchange some money, get some good Jamaican food, because you know how it be at the resorts. So I said, let me fly into Jamaica on Spirit Airlines, and then I'm going to go to the hostel. This was my first stop in Jamaica. Check-in was super easy. I had prearranged pickup, so I didn't have any of the rigmarole that can happen at Sangster. Vanessa was outside. I had no luggage to wait for, so she quickly took me to the hostel. It was like 10 minutes from the airport. This is a plus, you guys, of staying at hostels. Most of them are going to be centrally located because Vanessa, she had already picked me up from the airport. She's the owner of the hostel, so I was already able to break the ice. I was chatting it up with her, asking her a ton of questions in the car on the way to the hostel because I'm like, I'm solo traveling. I'm about to go to Kingston. I'm about to go to Ochi. And she was just like, everything's Irie. You're going to be fine. It is located on Church Street, and the cost is $25 a night if you are staying in the dorm. If you want to get a private room, that's going to be $50 a night. During that time, it was COVID, so the cleanliness was up to par. I will say I should have had more pictures of the room, so I do apologize. I had the private room. I really wasn't there to socialize. Some of the people there were from Europe, so I said hello. They were explaining how to open the gate and close it so I could get in and out. There was a high-low grocery that I needed to pick up some things, and there was a cambio because I needed to exchange my money. I also needed to get a SIM card. Being in downtown MoBay was a plus. And for most people, if you have reservations about staying in a hostel, you are going to pay a pretty penny. You can't beat these prices, you guys. As you can see, the room was small. There was a shared bathroom that was outside of the room. This is kind of like, I'll dock some points off for that because if it's a private room, I kind of expect to have my own bathroom. And y'all, when I got to the bathroom, I realized there was no hot water in the shower. Most Jamaicans, they're going to be like, you've already were out in the hot sun anyway, so this water should be refreshing. Just having some comfort while traveling at the end of a long day. You were flying, a lot of transport back and forth. I want to relax in a hot shower. I did not have that here. Also, there was no AC in the room. Again, you could crack open the window. This was on Church Street, so you are going to hear a lot of action. I'm going to take some points off for that. Now, as far as Wi-Fi, I don't remember having Wi-Fi in my actual room, but I do believe they had it in the central areas. This was like a house. I'm going to show you guys some more pictures. There is a garden. The kitchen looked great if you wanted to cook, but I was only in MoBay for a short time, like a day and a half before I went to the resort. I wasn't trying to cook nothing. I was trying to get to those restaurants and get my belly full before I'm kind of picking through whatever they gentrified at Bahia Principe. The cleanliness, the room was clean. It was kind of basic and quaint. I did notice that the cleaners was there. For a tip, if you are at the hostel and you want to get a shower, you want to do it right after the cleaners have gone through, swept, cleaned up the bathroom. That will enhance your experience. You don't want to do it at the end of the day when all the other travelers are in. You're going to find, the stringy hair. Also bring flip-flops. You must have shower shoes if you are doing hostels. One major plus that I remember at MoBay Kotch was a hammock. I remember waking up the next morning and I just sat in the hammock. You see my legs here. I was playing around on Snapchat and I was like, man, this is the life. I am in Jamaica and I'm about to live it up. Overall, security was good. I told you how the gate was locked in. It is a house. You are in downtown MoBay. So once you go outside, you can wear one of those money belts. I've talked about this in my travel essentials video. Most people aren't going to bother you. The men were kind of aggressive as I was walking around. You kind of get used to it. Cost, check-in, the room quality and cleanliness. Overall, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. That location bumped it up a couple. I mean, even if I didn't have Wi-Fi in the room, there's no AC or hot water, the location was top tier. The vibe was laid back. Travelers were friendly. This is usually what happens and why I like to be at hostels. It's the traveler with that type of mindset. We're exchanging itineraries. We're talking about our plans while we are in Jamaica. A lot of those travelers move around. They were doing the same thing I'm doing, so I'm going to get some tips from them. You necessarily aren't going to get that in hotels unless you are seeking out, to be social. I would say MoBay Kotch is a solid choice. And if you're not into the no AC, just do it for a night. I want you to keep watching to the end of the video. I'm going to tell you one of my best places that I stayed at. This was not my first time at a Bahia all-inclusive resort. I knew what to expect. I'd been there before in the Dominican Republic. It was a milestone, so I was happy to be there. I do have a whole video dedicated to the resort, so I'm going to keep this brief. Know that Bahia Principe, this is not in Montego Bay. We had to take a shuttle to get there. Our shuttle broke down. I did end up getting there a little later. They do run a lot of specials, you guys. You can look to book online, of course, with the Bahia Principe brand. It is saying that the junior suite is currently $278. Again, there was a $185 special. I believe during my birthday, I might have got the room for $150, which is a good price, you guys. They were actually able to give me an updated room. The layout at Bahia Principe, you will have the older rooms and you'll have the more modern ones. A lot of Jamaicans come here for vacation as well. And I noticed this when I was checking in. They're going to hook up their people. I was standing to the side like, where's my welcome drink? I know there's supposed to be certain things happening. And I am not Jamaican, but y'all going to give me this drink. The room was lovely. The bathroom, I do believe that there was some issues with some leaking water. The layout of the resort is going to be good. You can even walk to the luxury side. They have those gorgeous pools. I mean, the maintenance of those resorts, it is so beautiful, you guys. My favorite thing about Bahia Principe was the nude beach. That should be a 10 out of 10 rating right there. I appreciated the special touches that they gave. I did have to mention it to them at check-in. They decorated my door with a birthday sash. They kept bringing me champagne and candies. Someone in my comments was saying your travel agent could have arranged that for you too if it was a birthday, but I don't personally use travel agents. I just spoke to the lady who was checking me in. I was like, it's my birthday. Is there a way that I can get into this restaurant? And it's easier to do when it's just one person as opposed to them trying to fit in a group who doesn't have reservations. I do wish that I had spent more time at the beaches, but I love that nude beach so much. There was no reason for me to go anywhere else. They had lots of entertainment. As I said, the pools were beautiful, and I really like Bahia Principe. Try to stay on the resort if you can. Security was on lock. They were actually trying to prevent me from leaving the resort. I went anyway. They checked me in when I returned and made sure that I was okay, that nothing crazy happened. Don't leave the resort, okay? I'm going to say I'm an advanced traveler. I do more adventurous things. The only drawback is that it's so far out. If you don't know anybody, that's why I'm saying don't leave the resort. I just happened to meet someone and they were like, oh, do you want to go out to Ocho Rios tonight? And I was like, yeah, bet. So after dinner, I met with them and I left and I came back. So when you do things like that, it means you're going to miss spending time on the resort. So it's easier for you to just stay there if you can. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. That nude beach was perfection. It was small. I was there with the Europeans. Now, the security, of course, is Jamaican. It was a Jamaican male. Of course, he's asking for the WhatsApp. He is seeing you naked, right? But That was a top tier experience. Might have been the best one in all of my time in Jamaica. The cost is going to be higher end. This is a luxury resort, but it's all inclusive. Your food, your drinks, and entertainment. It's like a one-stop shop. That's why I recommend resorts, especially for families, groups of friends. It's great for couples, even solo travelers. Anyone that just wants to have luxury, you're celebrating a milestone birthday, and you want a resort experience. Bahia is going to be the place for you. Moving on to Kingston. I always love visiting capitals, and I knew that I had to stay at the hostel here for one purpose, to go to the Bob Marley Museum, which was around the corner. The name of the hostel is Ragamuffin. Like, who thinks of that? It is located on Lady Musgrave Road. Check-in was a bit confusing. I went with a family from the resort to Kingston. It took us all day. We were making all these stops. We were getting mango on the side of the road. Some people are like, that's the best part. Was it? I basically wasted a whole day. It does not take that long to get to Kingston. I should have taken Knutsford Express. That was poor judgment. So I pull up to the resort. They like to have social events, so they were doing some club night. I'm on the dance floor. I have my bag. I'm exhausted. I've been in the car all day, and I'm trying to maneuver my way just to get to the front desk. So I was kind of over it. Just at this hostel, there wasn't much sense of urgency. There is Andrew. Both of those guys there, they were okay. They checked me in. I put my things down in the room, and I knocked out. For those who are introverted or just want a quiet stay, this might not be the place for you. Lots of reggae music, lots of dance hall. Like I said, they had the club at night, and it's a great way for you to be social if you are staying at hostels. If you want a more quiet vibe, I'm not going to recommend Ragamuffin. Again, the location was top tier. I loved it. Let's look at the cost. $23 a night. Now, this is for the dorm rooms. I don't know if they offer private rooms. I was in the shared dorm room. During that time, not many people were traveling to Jamaica. So the first couple of nights, I was in there by myself, which is a great perk. You did not spend a lot of money, and you still have that whole room. Even though it's all those individual beds, you have it to yourself. Until another traveler came in. She was exhausted. She had been traveling to the ABC Islands, and she slept for like a whole day. So I was like, is she all right? I ended up going later with her to Fridays. We decided to just pair up. TGI Fridays was down the street at the end of Lady Musgrave Road. It was very cold. AC was here. They had Wi-Fi at this hostel. It seems now that they have added more beds to the room. This might be a discomfort to some of you. You are not sure of where these travelers have been, but it's one of the cheapest places that you can stay in Kingston. The room had a remote, so you could operate the AC. That was great. There was storage. You can get a key and a lock. That's good to bring if you are staying in hostels. I'm trusting, and I'm also Black. Most people aren't going to touch my stuff. Let's be real. And I only had a backpack, so I put my things in the storage below. And like I said, that girl, she was knocked out all day anyways. I went to the museum, came back, she was gone. Like, I love to sleep too, but I was like, girl. Cleanliness, I would say it needs work. There was an open trash can in the bathroom or near the bathroom, and it was full of flies. I feel like they could have been emptying it out more. The bathrooms were kind of basic. I got up the next morning and went to the Bob Marley Museum. And I mean, it is right around the corner on Hope Road. I had met my goal. That was one of the main places that I wanted to see in all of Jamaica. So doing it this way was perfect. Another plus of hostels is that they are going to give you information that is going to be valid while you are traveling amongst the city, the capital. All right. They're going to give you the information of taxis that you need to use, places that you're going to need to eat. Next door, it was a cafe, and it was a vegan owned restaurant. There are things about being in the capital that are better than any other city, in my opinion. I would say that the security is pretty good. If this is your first time traveling to Jamaica, I don't want to say don't go by yourself. This is Kingston, okay? You are going to raise your street smarts here. They have a shared lounge. There was a coffee bar if you want to get some work done. It was a really nice setup. I liked Ragamuffin Hostel. I did keep extending nights because I was like, man, I like Kingston. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The location was absolutely fantastic. Would I stay again? Probably. It's $23 a night. I am a budget traveler. This one is Ocho Rios. It was, And it's kind of because my experience in Ocho Rios in general, it rained the entire time. I'm not talking about that nice tropical rain. I'm talking about pouring down. Like I was soaked my entire time in Ocho Rios. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. No activities. So I kind of was in a funky mood anyways. The hotel I was at was called Simanda Villa. It was, you can look up the reviews. It was blah. I had just come in from Kingston on Knutsford Express and I found a place to stay. Here's the room. If you are going to get the local hotels, you're probably going to pay more for not the best quality. And I know how that sounds, but you can still support them. There were no bugs or vermin or anything like that in the room, but it was private. I was able to find some great food in Ocho Rios. So that was a plus of that. I also went to some parks. It didn't rain the entire time. All in all, I'm going to give Simanda Villa's 5 out of 10. And that's just where my mind was at. It was dark and gloomy outside. I was drenched. I was soaked. One of the best places that I stayed at, besides Bahia Principe, that's top, was an Airbnb, you guys. I left Ochi, went back to Montego Bay, and I was at the Airbnb before I went to the airport to leave Jamaica. With Airbnbs, you want to look up the guest reviews. Of course, you can look at the rating and see, if the host, I would like them to be a super host. Make sure that the price is in your budget and read the guest reviews. That is what will help you make your decision on where to stay. It was $51 a night. They were able to arrange pickup. The hosts were a married couple from England, actually. They had relocated back home to Jamaica. Their names were Leroy and Valerie. And Valerie was the one, I met her close to the bus pickup. It was near Knutsford Express. And then she drove me to the home. It is very hilly. There was a lot of bumps on the roads because, we were hopping all around in that van. I was like, ooh, the ride, it was a little unsettling, to be honest. I had to deduct some points for that. Check-in was okay. Once I arrived to the home, they had a veranda. It was gorgeous for sunset. As soon as I stepped inside, they were just so warm and friendly. It was like you were spending time with relatives, and I had just met them. I was explaining to her that I was a vegetarian. I was like, you don't have to go all out, don't worry. And she was like, please. Made salad, vegetables. I don't like to inconvenience people in that type of setting because I'm like, I know you eat meat, I know you eat fish. I don't have to eat a lot. I'm gonna be back at a restaurant, as the days go on. And the first night, I think we watched some movie. I was like, what are we watching? It was some random movie. But it was good to just chill after being in Jamaica for about a week and a half. Your body, it starts to take its toll and you just need to relax. And I was able to do this with the wonderful host. You also want to make sure that the pictures match the description. Sometimes these Airbnb hosts, they be lying, or they positioning the camera so it looks like the space is much bigger, or they haven't updated the photos. These pictures were exactly what I saw when I was there. I had a room, I had a bathroom that was to myself. I did deduct some points because of the bathroom. Y'all, I'm sorry. I like things to be a certain way. Something was going on with the toilet lid. It could have been cleaned a little better. I do remember seeing some dust on the floor. When you leave your reviews for the Airbnb host, it can bring them down if you aren't giving them 5 stars. I did realize this, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I didn't think it was 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 5, I'm not gonna do it. How do you guys rate when you do your Airbnbs? The cost for the Airbnb, it was $51 a night. Yes, that's more than a hostel. And I did have a private room, but the hosts, they were also living there as well. They said that there were multiple rooms. You could have up to 6 people. Not in my room. I think there might be 2 rooms. Somebody else was renting out from them. They were living downstairs, so I didn't really see them. If you're not comfortable staying with people who live at that home, then you might want to do a different type of Airbnb where you have the whole place to yourself. I am going to say that there was not a carbon monoxide detector. This is something that is very important for you guys to travel with. There are portable ones. I recommend that you look at Amazon. They noted in the listing that they did not have the detector. They did have a smoke alarm, but I chose to stay there anyway. But in the future, I think I do need to purchase and just have one of these available when I am traveling solo. Try to get a portable carbon monoxide detector. Sometimes I would walk down the hill myself just to get some exercise. Hearing the roosters wake you up in the morning. I was looking at the fruit trees. This is what being in the country in Jamaica is about. It was so relaxing, calming, being outside in that nature. It's just really that homey feel that you aren't necessarily going to get if you were in a hotel, a hostel, definitely not a resort. One of my favorite times chilling on the veranda. They made me a lovely breakfast before I left Jamaica. I was like, how can you get sick if you were living on top of the hills? You have this beautiful view. You're drinking the sorrel. You're watching your TV. This is life. Like, I had that experience my very first time in Jamaica. So shout out to Leroy and Valerie for making my stay a pleasant one. The rating for the Airbnb is going to be an 8 out of 10. I said it has a homey feel. It was like I was visiting relatives, seeing the goats, the roosters, the animals, healthy eating. It was a great vibe. The cons were the transport up and down the hill. It was very bumpy. There were some potholes. I'd rather not do that again, but the actual stay in the home was amazing. And there could have been some better cleanliness in the bathroom. Another con is that you were in the country. You were way up at the top of the hill. So if you want to go out, getting down, it can be a lot. And even when you get back to the house, it's not like I had a key. So you kind of have to wake them up. They are older. You're trying to get in the gate. It's just a lot of action. During the day, I wanted to go back into the city. A couple nights I went out too. So it ended up being fine. I do not remember there being a separate entrance for you to enter the private room. So that could be a deterrent. If you are looking for a quiet stay, secluded, out in the nature, this is going to be the place for you. But all in all, I did enjoy my stay there. Other tips I have for you, staying in Jamaica, you need to know that some places will accept credit, some will accept debit. And for hostels, some will accept cash. In Kingston, I kept extending the nights. You can book while you are there. What sites I like to use would be Hostel World for hostels, Booking.com. Sometimes the Airbnb rooms will be listed on Booking as well. And Booking always has given me discounts. I really love them. You can also go to Google and see if you can book from there or the actual website. All right. I went to Bahia, Principe when I was booking the resort. If you're still deciding on where to stay, check out visitjamaica.com. They have a lot of recommendations for resorts, hotels. They might be more pricier, but they are a trusted source. It's a tourism board page. They list everything from luxury resorts to budget-friendly hotels. Do they have hostels on there? I can't remember, but they are going to have options for every type of traveler. So that's everywhere I stayed in Jamaica. My first time visiting the island, I was at a resort. I was at a couple hostels. I stayed at a hotel, and I enjoyed time in an Airbnb. Leave a comment below if you've ever visited Jamaica. Let me know where you stayed. And drop some recommendations of hotels and resorts, maybe even hostels that you've been at in Jamaica. Next up in the series, it's time for Jamaican food. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And of course, shout out to all of the Jamaicans. I hope you are enjoying this series, and especially the SDA Jamaicans, maybe who I know from Oakwood. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.